A few years ago, I thought I was doing everything right with my money, and it was still slipping away. So one week, I finally sat down and I added up every coffee receipt I could find. That little habit was quietly costing me $145,000. Most of us aren't broke. We're just unconscious about where the money is going. If you work hard, but your bank account never seems to grow, you're not alone. It's not about the $5 today. It's about what to do with that $5 and what it could have become. Today, I'll show you the exact math that changed how I think about money. We'll see where yours is hiding, and we'll use one free tool so you can see how small fixes can adjust your future without giving up on the things that you love. Let's look at the numbers. For years, I bought coffee without ever thinking about it. There was one near work, convenient, a bit pricey, honestly, kind of impersonal. There was a cheaper one I liked because the coffee was just better. And then there was a third, the coffee was a little bit more, but they knew my name, the coffee was incredible, and they give me a card with 10% off. 3 shops, several visits a day. I never once added it up. Then one week, my wife said something that stuck. Go and actually look at your coffee. So I did. I went through all of my statements and I added up every single coffee transaction I could find. And I want to be honest with you. This wasn't dramatic. Crying over my money moment. I wasn't broke. I had a job, paid my bills. I was fine. But I had this quiet feeling I should be further ahead than I was. And I couldn't explain why. When I saw the numbers, I just sat there. It wasn't anger. It was just, oh, that's where it's going. Not one big leak, 100 small ones, every week for years, without me ever actually deciding. I never chose coffee over savings. I never looked. So the choice was making itself. That's the thing about unconscious spending. It's not a character flaw. It's invisible. And you can't fix what you can't see. So I started asking myself one question. What would that money be worth today? Here's where most people check out, and I get it. Because honestly, compounding feels slow. You've heard it 100 times. Invest early. Time in the market. And every time someone says it, it sounds true, but distant. Like advice for a version of your life that doesn't actually exist. So I'm not going to tell you compounding is powerful. I'm going to show you what I did with my coffee money specifically, because that's the only version that ever actually landed for me. The question I asked was simple. What if the past me had invested the difference instead? Not a windfall, just the coffee money, redirected every month. The coffee itself was only a few thousand a year, and that was never the scary part. The scary part is what it could have become. And I know what you're thinking. That can't be 145 grand. It's coffee. That's exactly what I thought too, which is why I stopped taking everyone's word for it. And I decided, watch my own numbers move. So I built a free tool to do exactly this. It's called Arcila. I'll drop the link below so you can run your own numbers. I set the goal to $100,000. Then the one thing I change is the monthly amount. And I put in my coffee money, just the coffee, redirected into a simple index fund. That is the math I never did back then. And there's the curve. Watch it climb. It crosses the $100,000 goal at year 22 from coffee. But here's the part that got me. It doesn't stop there. Look at this breakdown of everything that builds up. 145,387 of it is growth, pure compounding. Money I never earned, I never saved, it just appeared because I gave the coffee money somewhere else better to go. Now, most people assume the big lever is how much you put in. Save more, end up with more. It makes sense. But watch this. I'm going to compare starting now against waiting 5 years. Same coffee money. The only difference is when I begin. Look at that gap. Starting now with this small amount beats waiting until I could afford more every single time. Because time does the heavy lifting that the bigger payment never quite catches up to. So the real question is this. Where else is that money hiding? This next part, I'd love for you to actually open up and follow along because it changes how you look at your own bank statement. Right here in the same tool, there's a section called Find the Money. It's just a list of spends that quietly leave your account every month. Coffee, we've already seen what that does. So we'll add that. Then a streaming service you forgot you were still paying for. And one more. A subscription you signed up for and honestly, never use. None of these are big on their own, but watch what happens when each one gets added back in as a monthly contribution. My $100,000 goal just became years sooner. And the growth on top climbs right along with it. Not because I found some windfall, because we took the money that was already leaving quietly, automatically, and we gave it somewhere much better to go. You don't need a pay rise to change this. You don't need to overhaul your life or give up on the things that you enjoy. You just need to see what you're already spending, decide what's actually worth it to you, and redirect the rest. So here's what I actually did with the coffee. I didn't quit. I just stopped hitting all 3 shops on autopilot, and I went to the one that I genuinely loved. The one that knew my name. I spent less, and honestly, I enjoyed it more because it was never about giving up coffee. It was about being conscious. That little daily habit wasn't costing me $5. It was costing me $145,000 in compound new wealth I never saw building. Warren Buffett put this perfectly. It's not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. You don't need a bigger salary. You need to see what you already have. So here's your move. Open the calculator in the description, find your coffee, and tell me one thing you'd redirect. Drop your number in the comments. I read every single one. Because finding the money is one thing. Knowing what to actually do with it and how to invest it without quiet fear of getting it wrong, that's where most people freeze. That's exactly what the next video is about. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you there.